Good morning. My name is Philip Johnson, and I am the chaplain here at Good Samaritan Society, Lake Forest Village. Unfortunately, we can't be together right now, but with the help of some other staff, we're working on trying to create some more virtual offerings for our community. So, I wanted to offer this short devotion for you this morning. Our passage comes from Ezekiel chapter 34, verses 11 through 16 and 20 through 24. For this is what the sovereign Lord says: I myself will search for my sheep and look after them. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered on a day of clouds and darkness. I will bring them out from the nations and gather them from the countries, and I will bring them into their own land. I will pasture them on the mountains of Israel, in the ravines, and in all the settlements in the land. I will tend them in a good pasture, and the mountain heights of Israel will be their grazing land. And there they will feed in a rich pasture on the mountains of Israel. I myself will tend my sheep and have them lie down, declares the sovereign Lord. I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak. But the sleek and strong I will destroy. I will shepherd the flock with justice. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. See, I myself will be judge between the fat sheep and the lean sheep. Because you shove with flank and shoulder, butting all the weak sheep with your horns until you have driven them away. I will save my flock, and they will no longer be plundered. I will judge between one sheep and another. I will place over them one shepherd and another, my servant David. I, the Lord, will be their God, and my servant David will be prince among them. I, the Lord, have spoken. Our passage in Ezekiel comes from the Old Testament. And the Old Testament is largely the story of God's interaction with one group of people, the Israelites. Now, by the time Ezekiel, the prophet, has showed up, the Israelites are dispersed, scattered. They have been conquered. Many of them have been deported. And if they haven't been killed, they're living as refugees in a foreign land. And so Ezekiel, the prophet, or someone who speaks on behalf of God to communicate God's message to the people, has a message for the leadership and the people of Israel. Earlier in chapter 34 of Ezekiel, God takes the leadership to task, pointing out that they have been selfish and short-sighted, and in so doing, put the people that they were supposed to be leading, they've put them in harm's way. They have left them vulnerable. And as a result, the communities have been decimated. Does this sound familiar? Let me be clear. I am not criticizing anyone, but we've just come through a political season that was and still is very contentious. This group saying that that person did wrong, this person saying that group did wrong. Very contentious. Lots of criticisms and critiques about leadership, who is in leadership and who people feel like should be in leadership. I'm imagining that you yourself have some thoughts and feelings about the way that leadership, both at the local or national level, has performed over the last year. So I say that only to say, I imagine you can identify with some of what's going on in our passage. But our passage reminds us that God is ultimately our leader, that human leaders will eventually let us down. but we are invited to put our trust in God. He is the shepherd who will bind up the injured and heal the sick. Ultimately, he is the one in whom we are invited to place our trust. Allow me to offer this prayer for us. God, thank you that you are trustworthy, that you are worth putting our trust in, and we thank you that you are our shepherd. Amen. Have a good morning.